All right. Good evening. Um, I just I read something interesting and I thought I'd comment on it before I forgot. Essentially, it boils down to a review about the response to the set of Cyberpunk 2077 reviews, and a core complaint within that was that there are this core group of reactionaries that complained about an evil empire being within somehow within the gaming review media, and that it's pushing social justice agendas, etc. And the article itself then goes on to talk about how this is not a thing and how that is uncool. Let's go with uncool. And I just kind of want to talk a little bit about this kind of thing in itself, and it's I understand that in especially in 2020 we have some very strong opinions in this world, and that there are a lot of people with a lot of opinions that they're able to share on the internet and that are able to gain a lot of traction simply because we live in a society where traction is, comparatively simple to gain. And that's both good and bad, right? That's both good and bad, simply because echo chambers form really easily, and when echo chambers form, interesting things happen within them. But I would like to just talk about why this set of reactionaries that can coalesce around this completely ridiculous idea that there's some sort of evil empire that is pushing social justice agendas onto the gaming public. And this is not really a gaming issue or within the gaming sector, video game sector, but rather an issue that I've found is pretty prevalent across tech. And that's the idea that because tech is progressive, tech is in some ways at least forward looking, and that brings a lot of and that sort of by definition. So sorry, taking a step back, I group the gaming sector within the tech sector for a variety of reasons, simply because programmers, all of these people are they're intertwined. That's not to say that they're not conservative tech people. That's not to say that they are not very progressive people in other sectors. Just that tech itself is a relatively progressive sector, and because tech is now so overweight in our societies, here comes the crux of my argument, which is that both in tech and in gaming, the outward communication from within the sector towards the general population has always been one of social justice, of shall we say, of targeting intolerance. And it's all fine and good to target intolerance and all of that, but there comes a time when people who would normally, no, let me take that from a different route, that there are also exist a group of people who use tech, who read reviews and who review tech, etc., that aren't that progressive. And this is a subgroup that in the past few years the reactionary group, that has been feeling a constant pressure from the progressive wing of the sectors, right? Like we I am in no way I should I it feels sad that I have to say this, but I am in no way denigrating the Me Too movement or any of these um, progressive movements that are advocating for not radical change, but rather for equality for the affected minorities. What I am saying is that there is a non-negligible group of people. In fact, there might be a plurality of people. And here we come to the difference between plurality and majority, which we can talk about later. But there might be a plurality of people who do not want to be lectured in such a way, and yet they have been for the past, I think we can safely say, for the past 5 to 10 years. And so in a in a year where tensions are high, where patience is low, this is just a another method of really for these people to express their dissatisfaction with the world, with their with what they perceive to be a attack on their values. And just to take it a step back, and let's talk about the other way. As progressives progressives are also get tingly when someone attacks their values, and I think it's only fair to accept that the other side does so as well. Whether they're right or not, whether they're right in our view or not, has no bearing on the fact that they will also respond when their worldview is challenged. And in this year where their worldview has been encouraged quite massively and been challenged as a result quite massively, it's only natural for that dissatisfaction to boil over into into quite self-organized vitriol. And I'm not saying that they did the right thing, because obviously there is no evil empire that is pushing social justice values across the entire gaming sector. There is and I don't want to use the word but I guess I have to, and this is a big stinky but. In the past few years, we have seen these sectors respond powerfully to progressive causes, and each time that they do, there are always grumbles in the background, and these grumbles are not grumbles from old people, right? Like at this point, nobody cares what a 70-year-old thinks about gaming culture. He's gonna be dead in 10 years. It's fine. But these are grumbles from people that are the same age as those who are working, who are developing the games, who are playing the games. And that is dangerous, because these are the same people that are growing up in the society that they feel have abandoned them. Because, whether it's because they have a small dick or just because they grew up in a very conservative, not conservative, in a very reactionary household, it matters not. It's simply that we want tech to be inclusive, but as a sector, the tech and gaming sectors have been very much dictating morality. There are we there the inclusiveness that we push is important, but the way that we push it is wrong, because the way that we are doing it in this day and age is as a diktat from top down, instead of working on grassroots and engaging critics and engaging reactionaries. As a group, progressives have stopped doing that. I mean, on some level, progressives have always thought themselves superior, and that by being inclusive, they have the moral high ground. And yes, absolutely, inclusiveness is important, but we've never, I'm sorry, this is just like very, very upsetting to me, because we, as progressives, we've never reached out and engaged, or no, let me put it a different way. We've engaged them in ways that we think we should have engaged them, and that is not the right way to engage them. And when big ticket issues arise in tech or in gaming, the response is always a top-down blanket enforcement of something that perhaps a plurality does not understand. And that is wrong. If as a sector, as an entire component of our society, we go and we enforce something that another that a whole set of society doesn't agree and accept with, and we just ram it through, that will just, like, that's a force that will have a reactionary force, and that is exactly where the word reactionary comes from, right? Like, it's, I do not think that it's right for people to come up with conspiracy theories and blame the gaming media for pushing some sort of liberal pedophilia agenda. That's completely wrong, and that should never happen to begin with. But it is also not right for us progressives to go out and then to essentially call them stupid, to just yeah, no, that is not the right way to do things. And I mean, the idea that somehow that everybody should embrace openness and respect, etc., is admirable. But when we go to the other side, we think about what the other side is seeing. The other side is seeing us saying you have to accept others, but the other side is seeing that you are not accepting them. And that builds up, that kind of resentment builds and builds and builds. And that kind of resentment is obvious in this society, and it baffles me. It completely baffles me that people, that we as progressives don't see that, or don't know how to deal with that, and therefore pretend it's not there. If we were to go back to the election, I don't want to, but it's obvious. Look how many people voted for 45. What is the percentage of people that think that 45 should be the proper president? Like, like these are people that need to be engaged face to face in a respectful manner. They are like this. They've become like this because they did not get respect in the first place. And that is the tragedy of the modern progressive movement. I'm sorry, I completely getting off track. On gaming, game game review sites. The original point was that game review sites, tech review sites, are heavily progressive biased. Simply, actually, no, I shouldn't say simply, but for a vast variety of reasons. And it's great that we're able to be so inclusive. But our editors forget that there is a whole other part of the country that doesn't see this. They don't understand this, and we fail to engage them. And when we fail to engage them, this is what happens. And articles like this that I just read do not help the case, because again, this is just a top-down diktat of saying this was wrong. Hey, this was wrong. It doesn't, like, we can't sweep this problem in with the others and just move on with our lives. If we want these people to respect modern gaming media and tech review media and all of that without creating their own version of both the internet and America, we need to engage them in much smaller, shallower, no, let's not say shallower. What I mean to say is engage them in more respectful, much more respectful dialogue. And yes, I understand that the other side isn't respectful. But when you think that you hold the moral high ground, you don't just need to hold the moral high ground, you also need to be the better person. A moral high ground does not give us the right to be condescending. Whereas, no, that's it. A moral high ground does not give us the right to be condescending. Yeah, that's it.